Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Monday, March 3rd. Over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we've had precipitation still focused mostly over the northern third of the Great Basin. Some areas over the last 2 weeks in southern Idaho, far northeast Nevada, and northwest Utah have seen precipitation just above normal, but otherwise below normal precipitation with, again, very dry conditions over the southern half of the Great Basin over the last 2 weeks. Although some of those areas did have some precipitation prior to that. So we definitely ended the very long-term dry spell that we had heading into February. Over the last 72 hours, we've seen new snowfall with a storm system currently moving across the Great Basin in the Sierra and over the higher terrain of Nevada. Many areas have only seen several inches, but snow will continue today before tapering off before the next system midweek. The snow depth is indicated on the right, and you can see from our current snowpack is still right around normal over the northern half of the Great Basin and still well below normal in the far south. Looking at the satellite loop from this morning, you can see this deep trough of low pressure located in the west heading into the western half of the Great Basin. That will continue pushing eastward today and move out of the area as we go into tomorrow. Otherwise, you can see plenty of cloud cover, showers this morning, and definitely cooler temperatures and some gusty winds. So looking at the weather pattern for later today, this afternoon, the area of low pressure will move eastward into the eastern half of the Great Basin. Still plenty of wraparound moisture for clouds and showers continuing today, and we will see some stronger winds, which will keep dispersion higher in most areas. The strongest winds today will be over Nevada and into the southern areas of Utah and the Arizona Strip, where we'll see wind gusts above 40 or 50 miles per hour, and there are a couple wind advisories in effect for those winds today, along with some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in parts of Nevada for some of that weather over the northern half of the state. Otherwise, mixing heights will only remain high in the far south, much lower up north. Temperatures today will be hovering right around normal or just below normal across the western half of the Great Basin, otherwise cooler in all other areas as that storm system moves across. Relative humidity will also remain higher today with moisture in place associated with that low. As we move into tomorrow, the area of low pressure is now well to our east, and we do have brief ridging of high pressure for a drier day in most locations on Tuesday. Winds will also decrease, but still remain generally in the light to moderate range, so dispersion still will remain fairly good in most areas. Transport winds, winds will decrease as the system moves eastward, but we still will see some gusty northwest winds on the backside of that low as the ridge builds in, mainly on the downwind side of the Utah mountains. Otherwise, mixing heights will be on the rise. Temperatures also will tick up only a couple degrees on Tuesday in between these two systems, still remaining either near or just below normal. Relative humidity still remains elevated, but does dry out a bit in southern areas. But again, we do have another storm system moving in. So by Wednesday, the next trough of low pressure moves into the west coast, pushing quite a bit of clouds and some showers already starting by Wednesday. This will continue on Thursday. We will also have some breezy winds over the southern half of the Great Basin, keeping that dispersion a little bit higher. Otherwise, very weak winds and poor dispersion up north. So you can see that reflected in the transport winds, and then mixing heights remain generally low to moderate. Otherwise, temperatures will start to decrease again by about 5 to 8 degrees as the system moves in on Wednesday. So really all areas seeing below normal temperatures, and relative humidity increases yet again with that moisture. The 3-day precipitation you can see both with the system today and on Wednesday. So this is through Wednesday night. You can see all areas at least getting some light precipitation, but some heavier amounts in parts of Utah and Nevada and the Sierra in the mountain areas. But even over far southern areas, we will have some at least light showers and an increase in relative humidity. As we move into Thursday, that storm track moves across the Great Basin, so continued higher humidity, showery, and cloudy conditions along with cooler temperatures. Also some breezy winds as that low moves across, so that will improve dispersion. So we should have good burning conditions depending on prescription with the respect of amount of wind and amount of moisture required. But again, definitely moisture moving through here over the next couple weeks. By Friday, the storm system starts to move into the Four Corners area, so we will see moisture over the eastern half of the Great Basin, but ridging and drier conditions along with warmer temperatures moving into the western side of the Great Basin. Still good dispersion. That ridge moves across on Saturday, so another relatively dry day, also drying out in eastern areas. And then the next storm system, quick on the heels, moving in later in the weekend, going into the early part of next week. So much of Friday through the weekend will be dry in many areas, but we will have more moisture on tap for early next week. So looking at the amount of precipitation forecast, this is Thursday through early Saturday morning. So again, with that system moving in mid to late week, yet again, more showers across the area. Snow levels will be varying, but could be anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 feet or higher. So a mix of rain and snow in those lower elevations and really all snow for the higher elevations. And then looking at the weekend, so again, as that ridge moves across, drier weather for the weekend, but we start to see that precipitation moving into California with that next storm system that will affect much of the Great Basin going into early next week. So the 7-day total precip, seeing a good amounts of precipitation, especially for the southern 2/3 of the Great Basin, up into central Idaho, which has really been the target of the storms throughout the winter months, will be on the drier side of these systems heading into March. Looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from March 10th through the 16th, we are continuing with this stormy pattern going at least into mid-March, if not longer. So we are anticipating cooler and wetter conditions. That concludes the webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.